So if conversion therapy was a term with a precise definition and ruled out methods that involve coercion and aversive techniques, and if it applied only to practices by professional mental health clinicians who can do actual therapy, if we had the authority to declare what counts and what doesn't count as conversion therapy, most of my colleagues might not mind being called conversion therapists. Footnote though, I would either way still take issue with the term because it presupposes the sexual orientation paradigm, hence the false idea of converting someone from one orientation to another. In fact, when I first heard the term, I was in graduate school, and despite several years of involvement in ex-gay ministry and counseling, or in a lay counseling setting, counseling guys who were leaving homosexual lifestyles or coping with unwanted same-sex attraction, I had actually never heard the term conversion therapy. So when my classmates called me a conversion therapist, I was confused. I thought people were referring to treatment for conversion disorder, which is something completely different. It's a psychosomatic condition. Right? Anyway, but since the term is used so broadly that it includes any and all techniques and approaches for unwanted homosexuality, my colleagues and I repudiate the term. So, when Joe Nicolosi Jr. contrasts reintegrative therapy from conversion therapy, he's not distancing himself from his father's approach of reparative therapy, but from the straw man of his father's approach that people lump together with all other conversion practices. And we have every reason to distance ourselves from the term conversion therapy. Just look at how it's used in our culture. Most of the time, they're not referring to therapy at all. But things like self-help, listening to preaching, reading books, or even barbaric forced sex change operations in certain Muslim countries, such as Iran, all get called conversion therapy. And that's just not fair. Or just ultimately proves that the term is untenable. Take a look at this clip of Jennifer Lawrence at a gay awards show.
Love the gay community. In fact, I was in love with a homosexual. It was my first love. I tried to convert him for years, but now I know conversion therapy doesn't work. Did you hear me, Mike Pence? I said conversion therapy isn't real, even though I know you think it worked on you.
She said that she tried dating a gay guy, and because he didn't change his orientation, conversion therapy doesn't work. That's like saying she's dating an alcoholic and tried to sober him up, but he wasn't down with the program. So she concludes professional drug and alcohol recovery doesn't work. The best way you can show that you're engaging this topic in good faith is using accurate language. Conversion therapy is so broad that it's a useless term. Legally, the first term used in the bans against professional therapy for same-sex attraction for minors was SOCE, sexual orientation change efforts. They've since expanded that because they need to also make sure they ban counseling for people or adolescents with gender identity confusion. So they've now called it SOGICE, sexual orientation, gender identity change efforts. So they keep having to expand it. So then they use the term conversion therapy as a blanket for SOCE and SOGICE. But the SOCE term is also misleading and can be generalized to include non-therapeutic efforts. So, in 2016, the Alliance for Therapeutic Choice and Scientific Integrity adopted the term safety, sexual attraction fluidity exploration in therapy. And yes, I know it's a mouthful. Which includes all professional therapy approaches for exploring sexuality change, but excludes non-therapy approaches. Reparative therapy and reintegrative therapy can be considered specific types of safety, just like we have narrative therapy safety, psychodrama safety, cognitive behavioral therapy safety, internal family system safety, etc. So if you want to be most accurate and respectful, call Nicolosi Sr. a reparative therapist and Nicolosi Jr. a reintegrative therapist, because that's what they actually are. You discredit yourself the more you use conversion therapist without qualification.